We just got a major update in the massive hunt for 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie, the mother of NBC anchor Savannah Guthrie. From day one, we have hammered away at the absolute failure in leadership, particularly the gross mismanagement by Pima County Sheriff Christopher Nanos handling Nancy's tragic disappearance. It turns out the locals are totally fed up, too. We are at day 47. Drop everything and listen to this. What you are about to see goes way beyond a couple of honest mistakes. It is a deeply documented pattern, a trail stretching back decades, buried deep inside federal court filings, public records, and sworn depositions, even posted right out in the open on the sheriff department's own website. But while all these red flags sat ignored, Nancy vanished without a trace. A formal recall petition against Sheriff Nanos officially dropped on March 12th. The county elections department just confirmed it. By the end of this video, you will completely grasp why this happened, why it dragged on for so long, and exactly why the locals who actually knew this man were terrified to speak up. Let us lay out the facts. When Nancy went missing from her quiet home in the Catalina foothills, back on the night of January 31st, Sheriff Nanos instantly stepped up as the face of the hunt, hitting NBC and the Today Show. He ran the media circuit nonstop, yet 47 agonizing days later, we still have 0 arrests and 0 named suspects. Absolutely no proof of life anywhere. Former FBI agent Nicole Parker recently went live on Fox News. She finally voiced what every investigator had been muttering behind closed doors. She pointed out his office would release a statement, then walk it back, then completely flip the story. He told NBC Nightly News that detectives knew exactly why Nancy was targeted, then suddenly backpedaled, claiming they were not totally sure. 2 wildly different stories from the exact same man. But the cameras missed the real story, the disaster unfolding the second those press briefings ended. This is where things get genuinely tough to stomach. It was day 13, a phase where every ticking minute could mean life or death. A federal source dropped an absolute bomb on Reuters, Fox News Digital, and News Nation all at once. Sheriff Nanos actively blocked the FBI from examining critical physical evidence tied to Nancy's disappearance. This was not idle gossip. A named federal official put this firmly on the record with 3 massive media outlets. Federal agents sent a formal request to take a glove found right by Nancy's property, along with crucial DNA pulled from the house, to be shipped straight to the main lab in Quantico, Virginia. Nanos flatly refused. Instead, he boxed up what the feds called, literally, all the workable evidence they had, and shipped it to a private contractor in Florida, based on that same federal insider's report. The Bureau would have to start entirely from scratch once the items returned. The insider's blunt quote to News Nation called the move completely insane. Othram, the cutting-edge forensic genealogy firm known for busting wide open the toughest cold cases in America, they actually stepped up to make a public statement. Their co-founder labeled the sheriff's choice completely devastating, pointing out that nobody on earth beats Quantico when it comes to speed and precision with this kind of work. They possess direct access to advanced genetic tracing that the Florida facility simply lacks. The private lab, she noted, relies on techniques that physically destroy the samples during testing, meaning the evidence vanishes forever. A source told Reuters that sending everything to Florida essentially locked federal agents out of the game entirely, stalling the entire investigation in its tracks. And pay close attention to the exact words that official used, warning that the move risked crippling a deeply urgent crisis. That was day 13. Nancy has been missing for 47. But freezing out the feds was hardly his only catastrophic misstep during that crucial first week, not by a long shot. Deputies actually released the crime scene before properly processing it. Journalists casually strolled right up to her front door. High-res photos of blood evidence splashed across the internet before forensics even wrapped up their job. A veteran defense lawyer breaking down the case on national television called the scene completely tainted, pointing out that this level of contamination tanks criminal trials before they ever start. Nanos eventually confessed as much. Looking directly into the cameras at a February press conference, he admitted that if he could hit reset, he would have locked down that house for days and begged the FBI for immediate backup. Those were his exact words, caught on tape over a month ago, and then I dug up this final detail that stopped me dead. Sources confirmed to Fox News Digital that the pilot running the sheriff department's thermal imaging chopper the precise aircraft that should have been canvassing her rugged neighborhood the second the 911 call dropped. Nanos disciplined him over a private argument before dumping him back onto street patrol. This was pure retaliation for stepping on the sheriff's toes. When Nancy vanished and search teams desperately needed that chopper, it stayed on the tarmac. They held that flight for 3 solid hours after the missing person call came in. 3 hours. One law enforcement insider told Fox News Digital exactly what that means in a hunt for an at-risk adult. 3 hours is a lifetime. The Pima County Deputies Organization backed this up to Fox News, adding they had officially fought the transfer the moment it happened. And this wasn't just a one-off. The department had also yanked their top search and rescue deputy off the roster. They sent him to patrol late last year without a backup, stripping crucial teams to the bone right when the county's biggest missing person investigation broke. In the entire history of the agency, but somehow the situation devolves even further. Toward the end of February, the United Cajun Navy, a Louisiana nonprofit, handed over a massive 41-page operation manual. Straight to Sheriff Nanos, 41 pages. We aren't talking about a quick email or some vague internet promise. This was a highly technical, completely fleshed-out strategy bringing dozens of specialized tracking dogs and cutting-edge drones to the table. They wanted to scour the brutal Catalina foothills area near Nancy's last known location. They offered the sheriff the world, complete respect for his command. 0 rogue media statements. Every single move required his green light. They only cared about bringing her home. Nanos gave them radio silence. Their representative stayed in Tucson, fully prepared to launch for almost 7 straight days. They just waited. No call ever came. Finally, the department released a public update claiming the hunt for Nancy Guthrie belonged in the hands of professionals. They looked right at a highly qualified rescue outfit boasting a massive, proven national history, a crew already hitting the ground near Nancy's property, and told them to pack it up. Sergeant Aaron Cross, who leads the Pima County Deputies Organization, spoke out fast. "More bodies are always better than less," he stated. Even the head of the union stood there in disbelief. Which brings us right back to Sergeant Cross. Because this is exactly where the sheriff's behavior crosses a major line. Sergeant Aaron Cross has run the Pima County Deputies Organization for years. He represents the boots on the ground, the officers reporting to Nanos shift after shift. He hasn't held back his public criticism of the sheriff, and Nanos has exacted a heavy price for that honesty. Back in May 2024, Cross went on the radio to call out the brass. Nanos immediately slapped him with an internal affairs probe. Cross filed a lawsuit. The probe vanished. Fast forward 6 months, just 3 weeks ahead of the 2024 election. Nanos shoved Cross onto paid administrative leave. The official excuse? Cross supposedly campaigned for the sheriff's political rival, all while wearing gear that looked too much like a uniform. Cross fought back against the claim immediately. Federal court filings eventually proved he had on basic civilian street clothes. Cross hit Nanos with another lawsuit. This time, he alleged First Amendment violations. That legal battle is still moving through the courts. Let the gravity of that sink in. The actual president of the Deputies Union. The exact guy whose job is defending the cops serving this administration. Benched on administrative leave just 3 weeks before voting day, simply for standing with a sign on a street corner. Then dragged into court over a radio broadcast. Nanos actually went on the record with a reporter, stating, "Aaron Cross is just being Aaron Cross. He is manipulative and he is a liar." That is exactly how this sheriff handles the very people protecting his streets. This is the same agency running the 47-day hunt for Nancy Guthrie. Lieutenant Bob Kreider, a retired SWAT commander, weighed in. He dropped a massive statistic regarding the inner turmoil. 98% of the sheriff's own deputies handed him a vote of no confidence. Kreider also went public with a shocking fact about the Pima County Sheriff's Department's top homicide detective. They only have 3 years on the job. Every single veteran investigator walked out the door because of Nanos. From day one, we've exposed the massive failures and staggering incompetence of Pima County Sheriff Christopher Nanos, specifically regarding the vanishing of Nancy Guthrie. And right now, the community is finally reaching a breaking point. Fueled by massive local outrage across Pima County, the sheriff is staring down a potential recall campaign, an effort that could completely strip him of his badge. Republican congressional candidate Daniel Gutierrez is spearheading the movement. He is here with us today. Sir, we really appreciate you making the time. Let's talk about the local force. Glad to have you. The Pima County cops just slapped Sheriff Nanos with a unanimous no-confidence vote last week. We also just learned the sheriff was forced out of the El Paso Police Department after racking up a massive sheet of violations. What do you believe finally pushed those deputies over the edge? A falsified resume pushed everyone over the edge, forcing an immediate vote. I spent significant time tracking these analysts while personally embedding down at the southern border. Pima County sits right on that line. Smugglers carrying backpacks have flooded this exact zone with narcotics for 4 straight years. A local border rancher named Mr. Chilton spent 4 years capturing the reality on camera. His footage exposes thousands of smugglers illegally crossing over. It shows their precise routes and daily schedules. He handed all this hard evidence to law enforcement. It resulted in exactly 1 arrest. This runs far deeper than the Nancy Guthrie investigation. Her case simply provided the final, undeniable breaking point. We need to examine who Chris Nanos really is. Official records expose a past he spent 40 years trying to hide. The Arizona Republic uncovered internal documents placing Nanos at the El Paso Police Department from 1976 to 1982, yet his public resume on the Pima County Sheriff's Department website insisted he remained there until 1984. 2 full years, totally erased from history, wiped completely clean. Why delete those specific years? The answer hides in his exact actions. Nanos never left El Paso on good terms. He resigned specifically to avoid getting fired. Management offered him a stark choice: quit immediately or face termination over a massive list of severe disciplinary offenses. Insubordination, excessive force, discharging a weapon, off-duty gambling, chronic tardiness, missing shifts, dereliction of duty, and issuing threats. 26 separate allegations, 37 unpaid suspension days across 5 years. When an Arizona Republic reporter pushed Nanos regarding his official disciplinary record, he fired back an email. His exact words: "That's your urgent request? You sure you don't want to go back to my high school and ask why I got swats from the principal? Good luck with your hit piece." The lead sheriff on the Nancy Guthrie investigation actually said that when faced with hard evidence, right now, Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos is actively fighting media claims regarding his falsified employment history. Journalists reported that his listed experience completely contradicts official documents from his early policing days. Nanos decided to tackle the backlash directly during a sit-down interview with News 4 Tucson reporter Monica Garcia. Monica, walk us through exactly what he said. "Hello, Sean. I sat down with Chris Nanos today, and he completely denied any intentional deception regarding his professional background. He brushed the situation off as a simple clerical mistake, claiming the administrative error is entirely fixed now." The core dispute revolves around Nanos and his foundational years at the El Paso Police Department. Specifically, people want to know if his public timeline actually aligns with internal police records. His paperwork claimed he served in El Paso from 1976 to 1984. The sheriff now admits he left in 1982. Nanos insists the private resume stored inside his sheriff's department personnel file always contained the accurate timeline. He also blamed another typo, stating his promotion to captain happened in 2007 instead of 2009. Quote, "I would hope that clearly shows there's no attempt to mislead or mischaracterize my resume." He continued, "It's just unfortunate that 40 years spanning 6 decades is kind of tough, and your documents get mixed up and you miss a couple of dates here and there." Journalists also pressed him on the heavy disciplinary actions he caught as a rookie at the El Paso Police Department. "I confronted the sheriff about these violations. He admitted they happened, blaming his behavior on being young and inexperienced. You know, when you wreck 5 patrol cars in a period of 6 years, you're probably going to not make your bosses too happy. When you show up late to briefings every now and then, you're probably going to get in trouble. You know, it's what's shaped me my entire career, not just the experiences I've had, but just growing up throughout this time here, 40 years here in Pima County, 40 plus years." He added, "I don't think I have any disciplines." But that resume hides darker secrets. On December 11th, 2025, just 7 weeks before Nancy Guthrie vanished, Nanos gave a sworn legal deposition. This deposition tied into a lawsuit from Sergeant Aaron Cross. He is the union president Nanos previously shoved onto administrative leave. Nanos actively tried silencing this man under oath, right in front of an official court reporter. The lawyers asked Nanos one direct question: did his law enforcement career ever include a disciplinary suspension? He flatly said no. Just let that sink in for a second. 8 separate suspensions, 37 unpaid days, 26 internal affairs investigations completely ignored. Anyone could pull these public records and read the allegations themselves. Yet under oath, he flat out denied it. Matt Hines, a Pima County supervisor, cut right to the chase. He stated this man has operated as a complete fraud for the past 43 years. Hines wants him gone from Pima County entirely. But the supervisor also dropped a bombshell that extends way past this single investigation. They might have to review every single case Nanos touched throughout his entire Pima County career. Every single one. That is 43 years of police work under a microscope. Now, the Board of Supervisors is gearing up for a formal meeting on March 24th. That is just 5 days away. And the main agenda is confronting what Hines called a gross misrepresentation of his employment record. They will tackle the suspected perjury from his sworn deposition. Hines already told Newsweek he demanded Nanos' complete personnel file. The county has not provided those documents yet. Meanwhile, a department spokesperson confirmed Nanos is refusing to comment. This is the same guy who spent 47 days on national television assuring the country he was narrowing in on Nancy Guthrie. Yet he stays completely silent about his own perjury. Then, a massive new detail surfaced just this week. This specific revelation exposes exactly where the sheriff's priorities lie, while Nancy remains utterly unaccounted for. The New York Post actually tracked Nanos' daily routine over a 5-day stretch, right as the investigation stalled with 0 arrests. An active federal task force is grinding away full-time, and Savannah Guthrie is desperately hoping for a single update about her mother. Over 5 days, Nanos visited his office twice for about 7 hours total. In that exact time frame, he hit the gym. 4 separate times. 4. Naturally, his department completely ignored all media requests for a statement. Which brings us to the biggest question everyone keeps asking right now. Would firing Nanos actually impact the search for Nancy? Maureen O'Connell, a retired FBI special agent, settled this debate on News Nation recently. She confirmed that ousting Nanos will not break the continuity. The federal investigation stays completely intact. The FBI task force operates from an entirely different building, and they do not need him to function. However, that answer ignores the permanent damage already done. Releasing a severely underprocessed crime scene is an absolute mistake you cannot walk back. Shipping crucial evidence off to Florida instead of Quantico on day 13 costs them precious time they will never get back. A specialized thermal imaging aircraft sat totally grounded for 3 hours because their sole certified pilot was facing retaliation for challenging the sheriff. Those 3 critical hours vanished forever. They completely ignored a 41-page tactical search strategy, leaving massive patches of terrain totally unchecked. Nanos actually confessed to those blunders, and the official record validates the rest. Now, 500 furious volunteers are actively gathering recall signatures across Pima County. This is a completely bipartisan effort. His own deputies desperately wanted to launch this recall, but they feared intense retaliation if they stepped out of line. Citizens took the lead instead. 120,000 signatures needed in exactly 120 days. The Board of Supervisors convenes on March 24th. We know the deposition transcript is real, and the El Paso documents are firmly on file. Those 8 prior suspensions happened. He officially resigned to avoid getting fired. You cannot erase that history. Meanwhile, Nancy Guthrie just went to Mass. It was her regular Sunday morning routine. She enjoyed a nice Saturday night dinner with her family, drove back home, and securely closed her garage door. She was safely inside her house. She was breathing. Then, at exactly 1:47 a.m., someone physically ripped her doorbell camera offline. By 2:12 a.m., a motion sensor tripped outside. At 2:28 a.m., her pacemaker permanently stopped transmitting data to her phone. Investigators discovered her blood pooled right at her front door. It has been 47 days with 0 arrests and absolutely no proof she is still alive. She earned the right to a flawlessly secured crime scene from minute 1. That physical evidence should have been flying to Quantico before sunrise. A thermal aircraft should have flown the second dispatch, answered that 911 call. They completely ignored a 41-page professional search blueprint. She deserved a local sheriff who did not need to commit perjury to hide his past. Nancy was owed absolute perfection, and she received complete incompetence. If you remember a weird truck, recognized a voice, or overheard a shady conversation, you need to act. The FBI tip line is completely active right now. Call 1-800-CALL-FBI for an anonymous $1 million reward. Federal agents are still working. This investigation remains wide open because somewhere in the world, a single person holds the exact truth about what happened to Nancy Guthrie on the night of January 31st. We refuse to let this story fade. We will be watching.